All right. Thank you all for coming to a part of the Environmental Justice Symposium. I know it's a Saturday afternoon, we're all tired. But we're really excited to have Joslin Kehdy with us today. Joslin Kehdy is the founder of Recycle Lebanon, which started following the garbage crisis in 2015. It's a platform to recycle the system from mindset to action, all while raising awareness on the alternatives possible through a circular economy. She pioneered the first zero waste cleanups to sort and recycle the BalaPlastic movement, transitioning establishments and communities plastic and toxic free, the only cigarette collection recycling initiative, and the Middle East's first zero waste shop, physically mobilizing a circular economy through the EcoSouk. So we're so excited to have Joslin here with us today. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'll be sharing the presentation as well.
So Recycle Lebanon as an NGO was launched in 2015. It was officially legally formed in 2017. And the catalyst moment to help me launch this was experiencing the waste crisis and the kind of lack of access to alternatives and the way that society at large was responding to it. And so the name is a pun. It's not so much that I believe in recycling, and I think that's the way to save the world. So the name is a pun to really recycle the system from mindset to action, as the waste crisis was what I say is the last plastic straw in a crippling state where we have, water, electricity, air quality, and our basic rights dancing in complacent corruption. So we are here to kind of dynamically and holistically shift the story of our throwaway society and all of its fragments. So the NGO shed lights on the regional inherent circular living culture and its role internationally as a playing field to the broken system. So from oil extraction to climate and war refugees. And that interconnection of plastic where it represents across the value chain. And when we say plastic, we also mean the face of plastic, or how we treat people in this kind of single-use system. So it kind of goes into many different depths. This next slide is the way that our government was dealing with the waste crisis. And there's a lot of videos that you can find that go into the deep history of Lebanon's waste story. So I don't want to go too deeply into that, and more into the actions to show a little bit of motivation. The next slide is a concert that we did with Mashrou' Leila. They are a Lebanese rock band, and we had done a cleanup together with Greenpeace to launch the BalaPlastic movement, and I'd like to show a little video to shine some light. But please take note, just the video of Mashrou' Leila above it. It's Maya, the first link, the first slide. That's
so not this.
That's the second video. There, so for all watching, there's a few videos here to share our story today.
There's okay.
The slide above it.
The slide above it?
Yes,
this one?
No, the one of Mashrou' Leila. There's a link there.
Sorry.
So I just want to state that this video was taken in 2017, and in 2019, Mashrou' Leila was invited to return back to Lebanon for a concert at the Biblis Festival. And they received death threats and violence for defaming Christian symbols and promoting homosexuality, and were banned. So this ended up being, so far, the last concert from Mashrou' Leila.
This link, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the look.
المشاريع بتزيد بحجة بكرة بعيد ما بيفهم كيف صار يشبه بيا وبعده بكل شي بيضيع العين بتشتهي بس ما بتطول الايد كل الآلات بتغني لو بتكبل وبأنابيب
So that's kind of our start into the plastic-free movement, which we call BalaPlastic. And we want to dig deeper. And so we did that with the cigarette butt. And so this next video shows you a look into a film that we did with Nadia Asfour called Sunday Thoughts. And it was awarded top 10 in MEDA with the Film for Climate for the Connect for Change. We can play this now. It's a little bit long, but just so it gives you a different take on the cigarette, which is a plastic.
Sometimes I get lost in my thoughts. I create a refuge that I can escape to, somewhere I don't feel consumed by the repercussions. Because I am engulfed, so much of me is nature, whether I separate myself or not. It weeps in silence and I can't bear much longer. I feel so flimsy, so helpless, so responsible. I zoom into people with their curious eyes, their capable bodies, their tangled minds, and I don't know what to do anymore because this whole thing has become so abstract to me. This whole idea of life, of consumption. The cigarette is inhaled and then gets blown back out into the common air. And when it's done, it is let go. This is a cigarette culture, the thing I call tosser culture. Instead of prevention, we are designing to waste. We are conditioned to waste. I understand. Existing is difficult, and sometimes the cigarette is an escape. It keeps us preoccupied, temporarily silencing our existential thoughts. This tube is also normalizing our destruction. The more we consume, the healthier our economy gets, but the more toxic nature and humanity become. And that is the paradox we are in. When I think about surfboards, I reflect on the connection between wind and water. And even though it seems the surfboard binds us to nature, its production is actually toxic, driving us further apart. The cigarette and surfboard are intertwined. They represent our tosser culture and industrial pollution. We throw out material that can have a new life. The cigarette butt is a plastic. So if we keep the cigarette remains to make our boards, then the product that once polluted both wind and water will be what connects us back. And as trivial as a cigarette may seem, it represents our destructive thinking, our mindless consumer habits. And still, if we rethink enough, we could create the solutions we were searching for.
Okay. So if we go now to the next slide, it took us a few years, but together with a partnership with the American University of Beirut and Paul Abbas, a local Lebanese surfboard shaper, we were able to actualize the creation of the world's first stand-up paddleboard. And previously at the same time, a team in America and in the UK were making a surfboard. So it was really exciting to be pioneering this together with like minds. And we launched recycling bins for cigarettes across Hamra with the AUB during a design competition. And now in the further slides, you'll see how people are using the receptacle bins and how we use the cigarette surfboard, which was about 12,000 cigarette butt filters on the stand-up paddleboard, and we used it for in-seat cleanups. Now I'm going to take you to another video to show you a little bit more of our work and our specific aims towards the circular economy and tackling plastic and local alternatives.
Is there a link to this or is it just an image?
Yes, it's in the comments section.
The comments, okay. Sorry.
Let me try to put it as a link on the. Okay, let's see if that works.
Here, I found it. Okay, sorry about that.
The Bachelor is back. Stream it live on ABC with YouTube TV.
Plastic wrapped in plastic.
There's an audio missing, perhaps.
The Lebanese people, their role in the waste crisis is the role of everyone with their story of plastic. When you come to deal with the waste, that's something that's directly in your hand as a consumer. If we want to really break that plastic addiction, then it comes coupled with access to alternatives which are affordable. So this is the approach that I've taken with Recycle Lebanon. BalaPlastic means no plastic. I'm Joslin, and I'm a Lebanese trailblazer. To pin it on the people as being part of the problem and part of the solution is a key factor, but it's only a small fragment because there's much bigger problems. Sorting and recycling is being hindered in Lebanon to push for land reclamation and incineration. We've had our first parliamentary elections in 9 years, and I don't think hope lies in the parliament. I think hope lies in what the people can do. We're here today in Marilies making cutlery kits and grocery vegetable bags from recovered textiles that we received from a sewing school that has closed down. We have really big heads of lettuce, so we want something that really fits it. So here we're going to have different sizes. What we're trying to do now is to create a cutlery kit so that you can carry your straw and your spoon and your fork and your knife, and then have your own reusable to-go cutlery kit. We're going to be testing out the price across this weekend and through different EcoSouk pop-ups so we can get people's feedback. it's really exciting to be able to put these in the hands of the people and show what are the different initiatives to shop BalaPlastic. So I do all of this without funds. I work day and night and I try to push it, and it's okay. It's my love, it's my passion. That's why I wake up in the morning.
Here we are. We can finally see a bit of what we were making yesterday.
It's not just about plastic. Plastic is that first step. It's about the toxicity in our throwaway society, from the relationships and how we deal with people, to the type of products we use, to the type of ingredients that are inside the products. So plastic is just that first step. It's that final straw. We're working with many places to transition them towards BalaPlastic, and many locations are by themselves transitioning towards BalaPlastic. And what we're doing is mapping out those locations and being on service, on demand, to help aid that transition and shine the light so more people have access to those establishments. There are at the moment many municipalities that are recycling, and there are at the moment many initiatives that have started to recycle. Recycle Lebanon is an active member of the Break Free from Plastic Mediterranean chapter. We're here at Beit Mary doing a BalaPlastic zero waste brand audit cleanup in the forest to show beyond littering and beyond coastal dumping, the responsibility doesn't lie only on legislation. It doesn't lie only on consumers, but it particularly lies in the design of our products that are designed for waste. So there's environmentally friendly options. They're at the moment more expensive because it's not on grand scale. And the issue is the corporates have to take responsibility to change the type of products that they're providing to the people, so that scalability is reaching the public's hands faster. Yay! We have the culture, we have the will, and we need the infrastructure and the support from the government with legislation that really can push it forward instead of pushing us backwards with an incinerator. The municipality that we are in is home of Ziad Abishakir's sorting facility. We're sending them to you now real fast from the forest. Just can you keep them to the side between the mesh bags? Because he can actually do something with it. He takes it and he puts it into eco boards, and he raises awareness that those things actually can't be recycled, and what is an other option that you can do. Every little thing that you do with regards to your story of waste is going to make a difference. It's going to make an impact. And I know that it's okay to throw away, but there is no way. But there is a way. And we need to really show the people that there is an opportunity to not live in our garbage. There is a way that you can recycle it. And how can you give your garbage another life? La BalaPlastic. Merci.
Hi, I'm Kara, and I love making love, but I hate my periods.
Sorry, I don't
You
know
get periods, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Well, love is a solution for all, so perhaps. The next slide here shows a little bit what the video showed, where I was walking into an existing store and buying things in bulk. Just to show that this has already been very part of our heritage and our way of living. So we're not asking people to adopt a new way of life, but to give weight to it. And I tend to say this a lot, but we're very thankful for Berlin for making it a very trendy global scale to have zero waste shops. But if you go into the refugee camps or into your local village or neighborhood across Mediterranean or developing countries, you will find these bulk stores. So perhaps not for the specific reason of removing plastic waste, but because it's our livelihood and way of living. So another program of Recycle Lebanon is the EcoSouk, which you will see on the second slide coming. We've opened an 11 square meter store, very small little store in Hamra. And we sell over 100 different local products that are alternatives to single-use items, toxic-free, package-free, with a reusable, a refillable bar and a kind of fellet station for, fellet means bulk station for food. Next is a short video from the World Economic Forum during our launch that we can play. See if the link should show up. So I really want to give praise to Nariman Hamdan, who made this possible. She's a member inside Recycle Lebanon who is volunteering with us. And as the previous video showed, we're generally an unfunded NGO. And she was volunteering with Recycle Lebanon and then offered her retail space in Hamra in Beirut, Lebanon. So we don't pay a rent. We've been able to transform her store and offer these alternatives to the public. And this is the power of the people. This is the power of love and really wanting to find a way in, with your will. The next slide is where we had reached. I think 2019 was a really positive time for growth, where we saw a lot of possibilities and a lot of dreams were coming to form. The Ministry of Environment, who had in all previous times been very negligent in the waste crisis, had a new minister who was wanting to help tackle the waste crisis at the root, and had launched a campaign against plastic bags with a fee inside the supermarkets. And we were working together to create a conference on plastic bags and the production of plastic. The day after that law, Lebanon was we faced wildfires that were raging the entire country. Everything was just black. Well, everything was burning. And then the day after, we had our revolution. So this is where everything just stopped. And I had flown to London, and I was working to build the next phase of our project for the makerspace, when I got all kinds of text messages that Lebanon was in a revolution and I couldn't continue my work in London, and I needed to hop on a flight back to Lebanon. But what was really inspiring for me was a lot of people were tagging Recycle Lebanon in the cleanups of the revolution while I was in London. So after 4 solid years of doing zero waste cleanups, the revolution happened and everyone just started picking up the garbage, because if we really want to change the country, we have to change our ways too. So this is a video that was shot to show this. I had returned to Lebanon and helped to organize the cleanups to be more zero waste. And this is a video now, how our revolution has to be green, to show you kind of the next step.
On this one? Sorry.
Right after that.
This is day 9 of the protest. What you're about to see here is going to be maybe 1,000 volunteers who are showing up just for one purpose, to do their citizen duty. Our goal is to claim back the streets, but claim back clean streets.
When people arrive, they start at the starting point, and then they get, their team leaders get dispatched to certain zones that we already predefined, and then we send volunteers to them. And what they do is they start picking the trash from all around the area. And it started as just picking regular trash, and then eventually we started hanging bags on the trees. We dispatched to each different sorting station. We have a team leader, and we have a group of people that are working with the team leader to start opening the trash and sorting it to different recyclable things.
Separate stations for very different kinds of trash. So we have one for plastic bottles, one for metal and aluminum cans, one for shattered glass, one for organic waste, so on and so forth. So we're recycling as well.
The people were on the streets, there was demonstrations happening, and then there was a lot of broken and shattered windows, a lot of trash that was being thrown on the streets. So I couldn't sleep that night. I got out of my bed at 6. I went to the kitchen and I took a roll of plastic bags, you know, the trash bags. And I came and I started picking up trash in the bag. And as I was doing that, I realized there were 10 other people scattered around that were doing exactly the same thing. And someone took me aside and said, you should probably organize this in a more systematic way, because more people will come along. Because the 10 people then became 50. Usually we fill about 2 to 4 trucks. It depends on how big the protest was the day before.
What was really important about these cleanups was that it gave an opportunity for citizens to mobilize on the grounds of the revolution.
Getting stuck on a math problem for hours.
Without having to take a political stand. So a lot of time your parents would say, you know, I don't want to see you down there. You know, perhaps their families are still part of a sectarian divide. But when you're going to a cleanup, that's something else. You know, that's activism, that's taking care of the environment. So it really created a safe space for people to go and voice their rage against the system, but in a productive way. The next slides show how we took the cleanups further by mobilizing a circular economy village at the grounds of the revolution. And we wanted to lead by an example of what the alternative could be for the country as we are facing water crises and electrical shortages, and food crises. So we set up a soup kitchen that used only local produce. Products weren't, we didn't buy foreign products. We used products that came from the farmers. When people came and asked how they could donate, we told them, please don't go to a supermarket and bring us food that's in plastic bags, that's from a foreign country. We want to get food that's from restaurants that are no longer using, their leftover clean food waste, or from supermarkets, or from farmers directly. And we wanted to give access to everyone in the revolution to have free drinking water, so that there wasn't plastic bottle waste, so that also we would limit the amount of garbage that we're cleaning every day from the plastic bottles, but to show the alternative that we used to drink out of a traditional brie, which is a jug. And so if we just have a space where we can come and refill the water, it will eliminate needing so many plastic bottles. And to have the dialogue on why do we not have access to water, to clean drinking water. We set up solar panels, and in this parking lot is where the army was stationed, right behind us. And it was really inspiring for so many army who were throwing tear gas bombs at us by night, asking us during the day, how can I get a solar panel system for my family in the mountains? We don't have electricity. So it created a lot of dialogue. And so just a few more photos of the space. We set up many tents to help deal with different dialogues across the sectors, and trees. Together with a partner, Adib Dada, the other forest, we had done a guerrilla tree planting in the sidewalk of a public space to kind of show an alternative to a violent revolution. The next photo shows our partners' support with the waste collection and designing bins, so that when people were walking around, we went from taping bags to trees to having really secured bins on the trees and on the posts. And the revolution kind of got a lot cleaner, and people started to put their garbage where it went. And after having these cleanups where, our target was 50 to 100 people cleanups during the revolution, our target was 1,000 people a day for the cleanups. And people really got that craze that you can recycle because there is somewhere that you can sort, because there's somewhere you can take your waste. We took it a little bit further in the next slide with our soup kitchen. It was a zero waste soup kitchen. So you'll see here in this video, it was stainless steel cups, stainless steel plates, stainless steel forks and knives. Nothing was served in plastic. Everything was local. And it was a way that we could give back to the community during Christmas, and we invited everyone from the streets and from the homes to come and break bread together. And then the next slide takes us through to being in the revolutionary grounds during the COVID crisis, and how we had to take precautions, but we did shut down 1 month before the country shut down the revolution, but we just shut down the kitchen because we wanted to take safety measures for COVID. And then the government came and shut down the entire revolution, which I think happened a lot all over the world, where COVID was used as a way to silence the public dialogue. And then we had to, actually, we were quite protected in that our tents weren't broken down. They allowed us 1 day extra to go and take down all of our things, because we had some really heavy infrastructure that we were showing an example, and I think that they respected that. So they gave us an extra day, whereas everyone else, they had tore down their tents. So we were able to salvage the assets, and they are with me now, so that we can build our next space. So I want to go into some positives after that. So during COVID, there were some really good initiatives that took place to try to help the society at large, so not just the consumers, but the producers as well. And this is an initiative that my brother led with the street group. It's a revolutionary group. Help them seed for them to feed. And it provided seeds to the farmers so that they would be able to produce for the next season. And another batch of really excellent news was that the World Bank stopped the funding of the Basri Dam from all of the hard work that the activists had done. So all in all, 2019, we thought was something that was really pushing Lebanon in a way that was listening to people's voices. And then August 4th came. And that's the next slide. And August 4th has changed everyone that is in and outside of Lebanon that has experienced it. We're still kind of at a loss for words. We don't want people to stop talking about Lebanon. But our government had stored in a warehouse for at least 6 years, almost 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate, and it's, you know, devastated our entire city. So it wiped out 210 people, children, men, women. Hospitals were down. Many were injured and weren't able to seek any help. 300,000 people were left homeless. Homes are still shattered. You'll see in the next photo how this explosion just ripped through the homes and a lot of the architectural heritage of Beirut. And the people took to the streets and mobilized cleanups and started to create teams of engineering divisions to help go into the homes and see where structures were going to need more support, what furniture, equipment, appliances were needed to replace shattered glasses, installations. So it just was incredible to see how the Lebanese people came together from all corners of Lebanon. They just came straight to Beirut in the same next day and mobilized teams. The next image is a recent cleanup where our environment is continuing to wreak havoc. So this is from an Israeli oil spill. And again, volunteers have led that cleanup. So you will see across the way the Lebanese are responding, it's always the Lebanese and the civil society that are holding this weight. And we're suffering. So I would like to go to the next slide to hear from Sarah Yaffi, a little bit more explaining this situation for words that I can't find. The slide above.
And in Beirut, I'm joined by Sarah Yaffi, who is a public policy consultant and political activist. Sarah, since you're in Beirut, let's go straight to you. I'd like to know, in your opinion, is the national mood one of fear right now?
I don't think fear is even remotely what it is. I think it is rage. I think it is despair wreaking havoc on the Lebanese people with immeasurable consequences, and no corrective steps have been taken by the political class. When I use the word immeasurable, I don't use it lightly, Tom. Immeasurable as in even experts are having a hard time measuring and estimating how deceitfully severe and deviously bad this crisis is, which is getting worse by the second, and still zero reforms have been undertaken. The Lebanese pound, exactly as your colleague has mentioned, has lost 85% 75% of its value. And the central bank's reserves are drying up and very soon will no longer be sufficient to meet our import needs. Yes, import needs, because kind reminder that Lebanon is chiefly an importer. In fact, the country with the highest trade deficit in the world is Lebanon, in the world, because of the dreadful political class and the deals that they have struck with the banks, who gave zero incentives to any local business activity to prosper across the years. The unemployment rate has quadrupled. In 2019, the unemployment rate was 11%. It is currently over 40%. The inflation rate is more than 100%. Can you believe the numbers I'm giving? This is not a Hollywood movie. What does that mean? The fall of the currency created a phenomenon of hyperinflation and a severe decline in Lebanese purchasing power. The minimum income, which was already as low as $400 just a year and a half ago, has now fallen under $40. And at the same time, prices have tripled and quadrupled. Hyperinflation is a rare phenomenon in the world, Tom, but it is the daily bread of the Lebanese people. This comes at the backdrop of a country that has seen no economic growth for years due to the incomprehensible incompetence of a dreadful ruling class, a damning ruling class that has invested none of our resources on any form of productive investment or societal nation building, but instead was spending, embezzling, stealing the funds of the Lebanese people to uphold their mafia feudal kingdoms. Our deposits are trapped in banks who are the co-signatories of this crisis. The Lebanese people are obliged to withdraw their money at an extremely depreciated rate, effectively reducing the market value of our assets by 65 and soon 70 or 75%. Who knows if it'll be 100% in a few months. This means that every day, Tom, the Lebanese citizen or resident endures an effective haircut on his or her hard-earned money, even if no official policy was ever called by the state. What has the political class done to remedy to all those horrors that I just enunciated? Nothing. They have done nothing except hold on to their seats and arm wrestle, as your colleague was just explaining. They have a practicing policy of a passive laissez-faire and kicking the can at the expense of the population, of which 50% are below the poverty line. 50%. They are mafia lords, militia lords, thinking that they have the space to be bickering and infighting using the same old corrupt style that has led the country to its demise, a club of mafias and militia who embezzle the people, who explode their houses, who shoot them down if they dare demonstrate peacefully, and assault them if they dare take to the streets to ask for the most basic human rights, a damning ruling class that deigns to bring out sectarian instincts because this is all they know. It's a can of carcinogenic worms who thrive and survive in sectarian divides that brandish sectarian slogans to justify their dismal existence. Yes, the population is afraid, but more so the population is hopeless today, hopeless, and is getting more desperate by the hour.
Okay, well, thank you so much for those very powerful opening words. I mean, a horrific situation and a horrific picture you paint for us there.
So that's the world life, real life that we're living right now here in Lebanon. And it's crippling. And supermarkets are now closing because they don't have access to dollars to purchase imported products. And because the dollar to the Lebanese lira keeps fluctuating and they don't know how to price the products of hyperinflation. Products are some products are subsidized and the subsidies are soon being released. And some products that are subsidized are being smuggled out of the country, including medicine and fuel. Gas stations are currently closed or only allowing you like 20,000 lira, which is now $2 or less, to fill up per car if they're open, to ration out the fuel. We're told that we aren't going to have electricity, like we already have 24-hour electricity between 3 to 12 hours, but in the next slide, you'll see that we are soon approaching total darkness with blackouts of the electricity funds. It's obviously quite political, and with without access to our foreign reserves. You know, we go to the next slide where we really depend on new governance. And while we did try to do that in 2019, we didn't have candidates to put forward. So SAUTI is a voting platform that's organized by Impact Lebanon from London, a group of Lebanese diaspora, to help us get ready for the next year's elections. And I want to just show other initiatives of where people are coming together as civil society or volunteers to carry the weight of where the government completely fails us. And while we cannot breathe nor afford to eat, thankfully there are organizations who are helping the people. So one of them is Beitna Beitak, which rose from the revolution and particularly through the COVID crisis, and stronger through the Beirut blast explosion, providing shelter to nurses and repairing the homes of the displaced. So they even repaired my aunt's home in Ashrafiyeh. And I think that without an organization like them, it's completely community supported. The government didn't do anything. So we really owe a lot to the people on the ground. Another great initiative is Nation Station. This is also by a great friend who was running a farmer's market produce delivery service. And then when the blast happened, stopped everything and focused on Jetewe, which is an area where they live, to help with community kitchens, reconstruction, and providing basic care for the citizens. Another is Lebanon Needs, together with their partners, to really get medicine to the people, because we don't have a lot of access to medicine. Like my father's medicine, we have to find diaspora who are coming to Lebanon, and we order it through there. So it's very real. But there are so many communities that don't have that access. And Lebanon Needs is really supporting the entire value chain of from hospitals to centers, and helping the people in need. And perhaps some have heard also of Beit al-Baraka, who's done incredible initiatives on the ground. So prior to the revolution, they had offered a free supermarket for the Lebanese elderly. And across the revolution and the explosion, they expanded into self-reliant agricultural projects, which they would farm fresh produce and livestock, so that they could sustain the free food inside the supermarket, and support with the reconstruction efforts and education and medical support. So it's really mind-boggling to know how the government has just complacently left the country to die, and great gratitude for those initiatives on the ground. And we've been quite silent online and through social media, but we have been working behind the scenes on the Regeneration Hub Project, which is a 5-year project in the making, and we are launching now. So I'd like to show you this video, which Rachel, who's here with us today, has done the voiceover and filming and the whole management of this project for. If you can stay with us just a little bit more, I know it's quite a long presentation, but we're really proud to finally show you this project. And if we can.
This image is a very familiar one to those in Lebanon. In 2015, the glaring flaws in Lebanon's national waste management strategy came to a head. The closure of the Name landfill, leaving the capital city of Beirut without waste disposal services. Protests swelled against the government's negligence, with protesters connecting issues of waste management to larger issues of governance, legacies of post-war policymaking, and social and ecological harm. While waste was a catalyst of change, there's also growing awareness of the connections between the sectors that meet our basic social and environmental needs. Our coastal and inland landfills are polluting our waterways, degrading marine life, and creating toxicity in our soil, while leaching radioactive and medical waste. Geopolitical conflicts, bombings, and wars have resulted in not only infrastructural degradation, but in large oil spills, forest fires, toxic waste flows, and garbage heaps, harming air quality, health, and biodiversity. Our right to shelter is also marred with complex service and infrastructure provisioning issues that affect populations differently across the country. With no potable water and lacking suitable wastewater treatment, water tanks must be procured for homes and businesses, with electricity outages requiring private generator payments, electricity siphoning, or potentially solar installation. The interrelations of our resources and practices present both grave consequences for human and non-human well-being, as well as potential sites of innovation for social and environmental justice. This is where the idea for Regenerate Hub sprouted. Regenerate Hub formed in response to the siloed access to resources and information across our interconnected sectors and challenges. The waste crisis of 2015, followed by the 2019 Thawra and the 2020 Beirut blast, weaved these crippling interdependencies to the forefront of our national consciousness, catalyzing widespread action from various corners of society to tackle the roots of our degenerating state. Lebanon has incredible solutions, initiatives, and successful pilot projects working towards sustainable development. However, these alternatives and the information about them need to be accessible in order for people to continue to further innovation and to drive behavioral change. We first need to understand what is being done and how others can contribute and innovate from the foundation of sustainable actions already in place. Regenerate Hub is a circular economy platform to strengthen nature-based solutions. This tool centralizes and visualizes data and actions for cross-sector mapping, untangling interconnected challenges from micro to macro alternatives to spread holistic system change. Regenerate Hub came out of this urge to recycle the country from mindset to action. How can I make Lebanon better? What can you do? Who's already doing what, where, and how can we visualize it to enable collective action and scale solutions? Regenerate Hub engages users to consider the flow, impact, and value of resources across our various sectors, how systems can be improved, and who's working to create alternatives on the ground. The circular economy model aims to increase human and non-human well-being and the regeneration of our planet, counteracting the unmitigated growth of industrialism. Regenerate Hub is structured to visualize how you can create just and equitable change, supporting the vitality and resiliency of various ecosystems. The platform is designed to be participatory and interactive. We're centralizing user-generated data alongside larger data partnerships with various organizations. The site is powered by a cross-sector dynamic filtration system where users can visualize the interconnections between sectors, such as waste, energy, and the circular economy. Our global filters allow users to visualize material flows, such as the flow of plastic across the country, or how e-waste and recycled e-waste is being used and reused. Our filtration system also has calls to action, which allow users to quickly see what initiatives might be accepting donations or need funding or volunteering from various citizen populations. Alongside the map view, users will be able to view their search in a dynamic list view with the ability to download their data into a CSV file. Additionally, users will be able to contribute, edit, validate, save, and share resources through our data entry process. Our data entry will make it easy for anyone to contribute either complex or simple data sets to the platform, with the ability to add photos, videos, and calls to action. This platform is for you, whether you're an individual, industry, municipality, initiative, organization, policymaker, researcher, or the undefined. Above all, the Regenerate Hub is a community connecting resources to strengthen collaboration and innovation through access to alternatives.
So this is our real highlighting project. We've just now shown it to you first, and we'll be launching it in the coming weeks. And I want to leave you with a little bit of where we're going towards next. And I found this really inspiring tweet the other day. Ask yourself, could this meeting be a Zoom? Could this Zoom be a phone call? Could this phone call be an email? Could this email be a text? Could this text be unsent? Could we in silence retreat to the forest? And could we, by game trails and forgotten paths, vanish into the trees? And that's really where we've gone. In the next photo, I'll show you where I am now based as a headquarter and residency into our ancestral village and forest garden. And the following photos show where we are building regenerative farming and maker spaces. So our next project is to focus on local produced produce and local alternatives, transforming the cigarette fiber. And you can go into the next photo to show our work for medicine gardens and natural dyes. And the next photo showing, you know, the maker space for making these alternatives. And that's now where our next focus goes to, a little bit back into the land and creating materials locally.
All right, I think that was the last slide, right?
Yeah.
Thank you
Just a
so
little
much.
bit about where we're going next.
This was wonderful, like a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And it really captures a lot about what's been happening in Lebanon. So we are a little short on time. I guess if anyone has questions, is it all right if we share your email and they could email it to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So we can do that. If anyone has questions going forward, we'll send you an email and you can email Joslin Kehdy, or you can email any one of us on the UEU exec. But I think that's where we can leave things.
Thank you for all your attention to stay this long and listen.
Thank you so much. This was incredible. Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming.